You're listening to Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. Small town feel with big time ideas. After all, you are entitled to Brad's opinion. Here's your host, Brad Allard.
And on this beautiful fall day, we're going to have Jeff Kelly's opinion. We're going to talk about real estate. We're going to talk a little bit about the amendments that I'm sure, if you haven't voted, you will by the end of the day. And we talk about how they affect property rates and property taxes. And there's how many of those amendments? About 9 of them in some fashion or form are related to property tax?
Yes, a whole ton of them are.
Yeah, and some don't apply to everybody, but there's very few people going to be left out.
Right.
So we want to talk about what does this do for the real estate market, particularly in something like Burleson. I don't know. If you have an opinion, please tell us about it, support or not, whatnot. I talked about this yesterday. I went through the important ones, I guess. I didn't go through all 17 of them because some of them really didn't matter. And there's a couple of them that aren't real estate related that I really hope pass, which I think they will, which is one, support for that technical school down in Waco, TSTC.
Yes.
It's a very good outfit. So if you haven't voted yet, that's a good yes. And they have a parental rights amendment. And what's interesting about all these amendments is that there are, in many cases, already in law. And they're just putting them in the Constitution, which makes it more difficult for future governments to overturn them. And so we'll talk about all that. And we'll talk about the real estate market in general. And if you're smart, you'll have Jeff here buy or sell your home for you.
I agree.
Yeah, 100%. You know, I was putting your picture there on the ad last, and somebody said, "How did you get Brad Pitt to come on your show?" I said, "Oh no, that's Jeff. That's Jeff Kelly." Oh, I got him confused.
That had to be Mr. Magoo.
Mr. Magoo. No,
somebody that's nearsighted.
It was Mrs. Kelly who said it, but actually. Anyway, let's talk about the ads so we can get on to the fun stuff. Well, it's all fun. I know our place. We know this well. I'm going to be there a couple of days for breakfast every other Thursday. We try to solve the world's problems in the men in my Sunday school class, and now we just talk football because we know how pointless it is. Mm-hmm. And it's a good time. We visit about lots of stuff. Also, Gina's Pizza, which we all know, has a great pizza place, but it also has great music, a great atmosphere, a place you can do business. I think that we've eaten there together, you and I, before.
Yeah, and I've had a couple of meetings there.
Well, it's a good place to do it, and I like the music. And, because Otto likes that old blues stuff,
yep.
and it's a lot of fun. Here, I'm going to share this with all your friends here.
All my friend.
Yeah, all your friend? Okay, I got it. Johnson County Real Estate Group, you started that, right?
I did.
Yeah, and also the joke one. How's that working out for you?
Well, we're having a lot of fun in there.
Yeah, so I've seen some of those, and okay.
We're trying to keep it to PG-13 or better.
Good luck with that. Anyway, and I think I got all of them here. Good. Anyway, back to sorry, Otto. I know you're paying for this, so go eat some pizza this week. Here, how's that? Also, my friend John Williams, BNI friend, and you're a new BNI friend. Yep. 817-734-2756 at Old Pro Roofing. Have them come check your roof out. The inspection's free, and they'll tell you what's going on. Yes, no, don't need a new roof. Yes, you do. Just need a few shingles, whatever. He'll tell you the truth. And, he's not there to upsell you and whatever. And you want to do business with home folks. I mean, there's a lot of guys who come by and try to sell you on replacing the roof. But we have good roofers here in Burleson, particularly Old Pro. We just keep the business at home, is my opinion. And so give them a holler if you want your roof inspected. And, of course, your ad there, 817-781-0546. The phone rings off the hook, no doubt. You keeping busy?
I had a kind of a lull toward about the time school let out, and it's picked back up big time the last couple of weeks. So I don't know what's driving it, but, sometimes you don't ask why, you ask when.
Yeah, you just take advantage of it, you bet. Also, Jeff at jeffkellyrealty.com, with the Wethington Agency. Y'all just recently moved offices, did you?
We did. Mm-hmm. Karen was able to buy a building there on Wilshire and moved into the biggest suite in it, and it already had tenants in it, so it worked out instead of paying rent. Now she's a landowner.
A landowner,
yes.
Which is better than being a renter.
Absolutely.
Sure. And some of those tax benefits there are going to pay off for her, no doubt.
For sure.
You can throw back to Tiffany up there, buddy. Okay, he had up her Local Life magazine came out this week. Also, locallifetx.com. Check it out, their website. So give her a holler, and if you want to advertise, it goes to 30,000 homes, and a lot of people see it. A lot of retailers have extra copies for you to peruse while you're there, and so a lot of eyeballs get to see those ads. So give her a holler. Also, our friend Al, another B&I friend. Of course, he's with the Mansfield Group now, but he was there for me last week. And he'll probably be for me next week. I'll tell you why later. It's no big deal. But anyway, if you need something printed, he can do it. If you need hats, cups, pens, paper, envelopes, you name it, there's basically nothing he can't put a logo on. Hey, give him a holler, 817-616-8761 or at bassprinting.com. He is a local guy, too. He's across the street from Old South. That's where his hub is. And so he's around. And so you can get 1,000 business cards for $65. You probably go through a bunch.
I did. And in fact, he's printing my new cards right now.
Is that right?
Yep.
For $65.
Yep.
That's a pretty good deal. Also, I got early in January, I got some trifolds. And they're great. They're well done, and exactly what I wanted. And you get 250 of those for $199. So there you go.
Yep.
Okay. We have a couple of nonprofit stuff. We'll do that at the end. I just don't want to forget, we have Toys for Tots, and then there's something coming up Thursday. But anyway, I guess just in general, how would you characterize Johnson County's real estate market right now?
I just tell everybody it's okay. If you have to buy or you have to sell, it's okay. It's not. Is it the most opportune time for buyers or sellers? It's absolutely not. For sellers, it's not the end of the world. It's not 2008, but it's not 2018 either.
Well, we've experienced that. My mom tried to sell her house in Corsicana, and that's a different market entirely, and it's different homes. I mean, it was an older home. It's not a starter home. And she started out at this one price, and she took a significant cut to finally get rid, unload it. Because, she and my dad, who's now passed, they bought into a smaller home, easier to take care of, less maintenance, whatever else. My dad passed in late August. And then so my mom just said, I just want this off. And so basically she took a pretty significant cut to get it off the books. Are a lot of people doing that?
It's real hyper local, You tell me that, but I'm working with some buyers right now. We're looking over in Arlington, and we're getting out there on day one and facing multiple offers and having to bid over list to even get a chance. I just sold a house for a lady in Irving. We just closed a couple weeks ago, and it, put it on the market, and 2 days later we had a full price offer, and it just kind of depends on where you are.
Well, why would Irving and Arlington be more active than, say, Corsicana? I mean, I know why Corsicana probably isn't that active. It's a fairly static community. It's not dying by any means, but it's not like blowing up like Burleson is. But Irving and Arlington, why would those markets be moving more than Burleson markets?
Probably because of where they are in the DFW Metroplex. They're, centralized, so they work for Dallas people or Fort Worth people.
Right.
Depending on where you're going to work, kind of like the HEB was for so many years. The city's not the supermarket.
Right.
Yeah. So it's real. The one house in Arlington was, we marketed it as multi-generational. So it had a little apartment that was built on in the back with a kitchenette. And so the first person that saw that grandma lives with them, but, wants their own place. And that was it.
Yeah. Where we live out in the country, there's 2 or 3 people that have like a separate building, a smaller one, the mother-in-law suite, I guess.
Right.
And my wife and I thought about doing that for her mother or father, whichever, goes first. We, bring the other one over from North Carolina and do that. I don't know if we have enough space on the property to really do it, but we have a little less than an acre. And I don't know what the regulations are, but you see a lot more of that now.
Yeah, that's the thing is a lot of these developers, when they did the CC&Rs, we call them the deed restrictions, they restricted against that.
I wish they hadn't. Well, if we do it, I already know we'll need a separate utility system and all that. And they just can't attach onto ours and things like that. But I know that that's more and more of a thing, I guess, if you will, to have that kind of extra living space for an aging parent.
Right. Or adult kids. A lot of kids are staying longer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're an empty nest now, but we've had our kids stay with us before and for extended periods. And it's, oh, well, I'm glad that they are on their way with their lives. I'll put it that way. Our friend Aaron Nash over in Cleburne says, good afternoon. Do you sell a lot in Cleburne?
It's real spotty. Most of my stuff nowadays is kind of it's rural and suburban. So instead of like being in Cleburne or in Burleson, it's just outside of town, or it's over in Joshua or Godley or wherever, kind of the rural areas.
Well, what I've been told, and this is by just stuff I've gleaned from not just social media, but from other people who are in the real estate or not in the real estate business, everybody has an opinion, that a lot of these smaller communities in Johnson County are really blowing up because people want that smaller town, and they look at Burleson and they look at Cleburne, and they're growing, and they want to move. I mean, 30 years ago, what was Grandview? I mean, it was just a spot on the map, and now that's same thing with Godley.
It's just going crazy.
Yeah,
Godley, you can finally get there because of the toll road, and I think that's what sped up the growth out there.
Well, I thought it was Del Norte's Tacos.
That was a close second for sure.
But as far as other communities, I heard that Cleburne, you're having an exodus from Cleburne, not because of any negative situations, but people see Cleburne growing, and they want the smaller town thing, and so they're moving maybe to Rio Vista or Keene, which I've been in Keene many times. I'm like, wow, it's a town that's great for a certain type of citizen.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's not the place I would go if I'm expecting to have a real good time.
Right. See, now the builders have found it. There's a couple of real nice neighborhoods that have gone up over there. It's not just the old houses like it was a few years ago.
Well, when my daughter was looking for a house about 5 years ago, they looked in Keene and they found a couple of them, and they were fine, but they were. There wasn't like a new development like you get out here in Burleson, and we're getting some really big developments. I don't know. Is that gets a segue to the next question? You don't just sell homes that are currently occupied. You
Absolutely not. I do a ton of new construction.
Right. How do you hook up with that? I mean, you had to probably make a deal with the developer, I'd imagine, or the builder.
The way the market is right now today, a huge number of buyers come from realtors to the builder. So instead of 5 years ago when they were running us out of there with shotguns, now they're bringing us donuts and whatnot. They're they're kind of a little more welcoming than they were before.
Why were they trying to run you off?
It just because of the market. They thought they didn't need us.
And they didn't want to give you a piece of the action?
Yeah, didn't want to pay us. These buyers will find us eventually anyway. What do we need you for? Now they're
please come by.
Yeah, bringing donuts and popcorn and all kinds of stuff. But it's just the way the market goes.
Well, I bet you've seen that new Pecan Grove development.
Yes.
And I drive by it because traffic in Burleson is what it is. I take that country route, so to speak, from our home to HEB or something like that, or get to that
714.
Yeah,
I take it a lot too.
And I've talked to a couple of the council members about 714. That's a headache for them because they know they need to fix it, but there's so many other pressing needs. And now you got this huge development out there, and these houses are big too.
Right.
I mean, what's the going rate on them?
I think it's from about. They say from the 600, so that usually means $699, $999.
Right.
So probably everything is going to be, $750 to $1 million, I would guess, because they're big houses on big lots. It's gated community.
Well, I could buy one of those houses if I sell mine 6 times.
Right. There you go.
That's all you have to do.
Nothing to it.
Sell to 6 different people. They all move in the same day and let them work it out.
That's right.
Yeah, but I've seen those, and we see more of those, and we see more gated communities, I guess, not just big mass developments, but there's some out near where we live now. Also, you go down Renfro. I don't know if you've seen these. You go down Renfro near Ryan Street, and there's all these. It's like quadplexes, and they're pretty good sized. I mean, we're getting residential construction where I live, and I've been there for 30 years, and we got very little in terms of development, but now, over the last 10 years in particular, we're getting some pretty nice sized houses, and we're getting multiple units being built in the same development area. And that didn't happen really very often until about maybe 2005 or 6. So things are changing. But how long have you been in the Burleson market, more or less?
I have been here since, I've been licensed since 2009, but I was doing some real estate related things starting in 2005 or 6.
And you focus primarily on Johnson County, but apparently, obviously, you do other counties as well.
Do.
How far is too far?
If it is in the 817 area code, I can do you a heck of a job.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's going to be better for you and better for me if I just refer it out to somebody.
Well, it crossed my mind, honestly, to have you talk about my mom's house, but that's an hour and 10, 15 minutes away. And my sister knew somebody, and that's the number one way most people pick up a realtor is somebody knew somebody.
Just a relationship.
I hope this helps you. The podcast helps because you're a very faithful sponsor and all, but I do know that, word of mouth and relationships. Hopefully in our little B&I group that you now joined, we can help you with that as well. But it's like almost like recommending a doctor or a mechanic. Everybody knows somebody, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's a very competitive business, I would imagine. I always thought it was kind of funny because a lot of my teacher friends, they thought about becoming realtors as a second career.
And they make good realtors too.
Yeah. Why is that?
I think it's because they're nurturers and they're used to teaching people, and the really good real estate people, they're teachers. They know how to teach their clients things that we're not, even though we're supposed to be salespeople, we're really teachers is what we are.
Well, from my experience, the 2 or 3 friends that actually got into real estate as a second career, they got into it because they thought it would be something they could do 20, 25 hours a week, and they found out, a lot of them found out that ain't how it works.
If it is, it's the wrong 25 hours.
Yeah, right. And they didn't realize, they thought basically they would have 2 or 3 clients, they'd, sell about 1 or 2 homes a month, and they'd make some decent money, but their primary income would be elsewhere, and that kind of thing. And they found out it's a lot of work just to sell one house.
It is.
And you're dealing with so many different variables. You think you got the house sold, and then the wife says, I really don't like the color of those drapes, and then everything is blown up at its smithereens.
I read a report this week that the typical buyer, a realtor, will spend 90 hours with one buyer client before they get them to the finish line.
I would imagine that's the case, yeah. And it's a lot of weekends, a lot of nights, because you're trying to accommodate their work schedule, whatever else. And then you get a house where the wife likes it, husband doesn't, or vice versa. And I get it. And I couldn't do your job. I could not do your job. I talked to other people in the real estate related business and all the technicalities and the paperwork and all that, but I couldn't do your job primarily because I don't know if I'd have the patience to deal with somebody that I got right up to the point and they said, "No, never mind, I'm not going to buy this house."
Just jump
yes,
off.
you are.
Right.
You're going to buy this house and you're going to like it.
Like a shotgun wedding.
Yeah, I know, but I just couldn't do it. But she said, "But I guess you enjoy it. I mean, you've been doing it a while and you're very good at it."
I do, because of the variety and that. I think it's just my personality style. The thought of being somewhere at 8 and staying till 5 and getting a paycheck every other, it just drives me nuts to even think about it.
Well, I get it. That of all the things about teaching, there's a lot of things I liked about it. But as far as like the workflow kind of thing, I finally, after I got to a point, I got really fatigued with, okay, it's 8:45 first period, 9:50 second period, third period you have off. Why? Because somebody said so. Fourth period is lunch. And I'm not hungry. It don't matter. It's lunch.
Right.
Shut up and eat.
Better do it now.
And so you got so regimented that it's funny. If you ever been to like one of these seminars with a group of teachers and they have like an hour for lunch, they're done in 5 minutes because they're so used to eating, shoving it in. And he's like, well, what do we do now? We got 50 minutes.
Right. Go break up a fight or something, I guess.
Go grade papers or whatever. And it's really funny. But as far as, I understand what you're saying, but that regimentation of the job, it was a factor, among others, why I moved on to what I'm doing.
Right.
And, but you've been doing it a while. You've been very successful at it. What do you think is a, quote, secret to your success?
I think it's because, one, longevity. You just do it so long. My wife actually went with me to show a couple of buyers on Sunday, and she was, what's your closings look like this month? Asking all these questions, and she's just like, you're never worried about where your next deal's coming from like you used to be. And I'm like, I don't guess so. And she's like, I guess this is what being vested in a job gets you. And I said, I guess so. It's get up and work hard every day and try to meet people and make friends. And
yeah, but when you show houses, you're not like these developments that have like a model home and they have somebody there.
No.
You're not doing anything like that. No. But as far as showing homes, that is the name of the game, I suppose. But sometimes it's not only you're dealing with the buyer, you're also dealing with the seller.
Right.
It needs to be cooperative. You know, they got to keep that place neat.
And it can be just as bad sometimes.
Yeah,
you know.
keep this yard mode, Jack. I can't sell it like this and that kind of thing. And I got it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a tough profession, but Burleson has been pretty good for a lot of real estate people.
Oh, it sure has.
And it's you know, not just the sellers, but also our friend Candy over at Camco and our friends at Truly Title, and you know they're keeping busy. That's a good thing.
Everybody seems to be making a living, pretty much.
Making a living now. Are they making tons of money? I don't know. You tell me.
I think the way that I look at it is whether I make $1 or $1 million every year is 100% up to me. It has nothing to do with the market or anything else. It's an economy of scale. Mm-hmm. And if I think I can do it and I get out and do the activities that make you successful, then I do good. And when I don't, I don't.
Well, a couple of years ago, the Supreme Court weighed in on how you got paid. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of us non-real estate people, we didn't really know the difference. But in effect, it basically said that if I'm selling a house, I have to agree that I will also pay the buyer's commission. Has that been an issue at all? Mm-mm. I wouldn't think so, because if you don't pay the buyer's commission, they won't bring buyers by, right?
Right.
All right. But I just thought, I wondered at the time, would this be like a earthquake event for the real estate business?
Well, so did we. We thought, oh my gosh, there goes half our income, or have to fight for every dollar you get. And in the type of market that we're in, as competitive as it is, it's just a marketing fee for these sellers to pay a buyer's agent. Mm-hmm. It's just you just consider it a marketing fee, and you do not have to pay it, but you may not get any showings either. Yeah,
because I wouldn't waste my time if I wasn't getting paid. I wouldn't show up somebody's house if I wasn't getting any money from it.
Right.
And that's common sense, I suppose. Mm-hmm. But I really thought, I talked to a couple of real estate people, and they were concerned. And I thought it would blow up the industry, but apparently it just already caused a ripple. So as far as other legal things, let's talk about those amendments. Would you say the majority of your clients are coming in from outside of Texas, or are they moving within Texas?
It's about 50-50. It's not as many. It didn't used to be that way. It was everybody coming here, but now it's more. I do a lot of move-up business, so sell this one, move to this one. This year has been about people going to assisted living, independent living, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've done several of those where they just sell the house. The lady in Irving bought that house in 1974.
I bet she made some money.
She did.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she paid $10,000 back in 74 or something?
I think she told me that she paid like $17,000 for it or something like that.
I would imagine she got more than that. Mm-hmm. And that's probably what she's living on, right?
Mm-hmm. That's the plan.
That's the plan. I know my house, we built it in 91, and we haven't moved because I'm too lazy to move. They're going to have to wheel me out on a gurney or something. Because I saw when my mom moved, all the crap it had to go through.
It's crazy.
But just moving the junk and moving all that stuff. And, we had an estate sale to get rid of some of it. But still, it was just a lot of stuff that you accumulate when you live in one place for a long time. And, I mean, my books alone would take a couple of trucks because I collect books. And it's too much trouble. So, but as far as people coming from out of state, a lot of them, I understand, are coming here because we don't have an income tax. If they're choosing to come to Texas, now they may have to come to Texas because of their jobs and all this other stuff. But if they're choosing to get out of California or Illinois, from what I've read anyway, a lot of it has to do with our tax system.
That's true.
And that's why they were focusing so heavily on the property taxes in these amendments. What is your personal view about 11 and 13 are the two that primarily focus the most on property taxes? 11, I believe, I'm doing this off memory, I believe 11 is the one that would raise the property or homestead exemption to $200,000 for people over 65.
It is. For elderly disabled homeowners, the increases the exemption from 10 to 60,000.
No.
That's 11.
Oh, okay. There's one of them that will, when you turn 65, your homestead exemption goes to 200,000.
Okay.
One question I have is, unless your spouse was born the same day you were, one of them is going to be older. Is it when the first one turns 65?
I think it is.
Okay, because I don't want to give my wife's age away, but I'm just saying, I just wondered if you had a situation where you had somebody who's turned 65 and the spouse was 63. Is that when it kicks in, or you have to wait till the spouse gets to that age?
I'm going to give you my guess is that if one of the owners is 65, yes, but I would sure run that by the Johnson County Appraisal District.
Well, I got my taxes Saturday in the mail, and
were they lower?
Not really. They weren't exceptionally high. I know the school district taxes were lower, but I got increases in other areas.
Okay. Yeah, that Prop 13 is the one that raises the homestead exemption from 100,000 to 140.
Right.
But that's homestead only.
Right.
One thing I want to bring up while we're kind of there, all of the tax relief came to people that live in the home. So if you're renting, your landlord he's not getting any benefit for this. In fact, they're probably going to pick up the slack.
The landlords don't get exemptions?
No, because it's homestead only.
Okay. See, I was under the impression about certain property taxes, maybe not homestead related, but other property taxes they were trying to cut also at the state level, and that would accrue to the owner of the property. But I guess so, if you own rental property, it didn't count for that. It's only the home you live
That's
in, right?
correct.
What if you have a lake house? Does it count for that too?
No,
just the primary residence. Okay,
Yep.
All right. That's kind of what I thought, But the fact is that it goes from 100,000 to 140,000 because these are going to pass. They're going to pass.
Oh, sure.
In
fact, it should already be on your statement, the 140 exemption. I saw on mine that it was at 140.
I didn't look at it that closely. Yeah, so I did not look at it. I'll go back this afternoon and take a look. I just saw the amount, and that's what the escrow is for, and whatever. But but really, people say, "Oh, wow, 40,000. That's going to be a really big difference." They said on the average home, it'd be about $484 a year. Okay. Now, an average home statewide is around 200,000. So that has in part why they raised the 65 plus to 200,000. So you're going to have a lot of situation where a lot of older folks will be paying zero in property tax.
Hopefully.
Right? Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. I have Chris Fletcher on in about 10 days, and we're going to talk about how does this affect Burleson and Johnson County and other places like that. I have Josh YSD coming on in next week. And I'm not talking about this specifically, but I did talk to the superintendent last time, and I asked about these funding issues, and he said, well, he had a mixed opinion, but he understands. But the thing about it is, what's the average home price and value in Burleson? About 380, something like that.
Yeah,
yeah. So it's still a pretty nice cut, but it's not going to eliminate your property taxes.
It'll help a ton, but it's just we just had that crazy growth over the COVID years that we've never really experienced growth percentages like that before in Texas. And so I think that's really what brought all this on is it just grew, it went up so much so quickly.
Well,
it just drowned some people.
Well, yeah, and and I talked to Fletcher, Mayor Fletcher, Mr. Fletcher. I've talked to others. And they're lamenting the fact about how people on fixed incomes have a harder and harder time. So maybe this will preserve some of that. But this is really kind of a separate issue. But the fact our Constitution of our state is so weird. I was talking about that in my class today at DBU. I teach an American Constitution class, and they're like two totally different documents. And because, the idea of raising and lowering taxes is a legislative act in most states and with the federal government. For us, we have to have an amendment to the Constitution and vote on it and all. It isn't like they could just pass a law and raise or lower taxes like that. And it's craziness, to tell you the truth.
Where we'll have to be careful, where we'll have to watch them is they can't fool with the exemptions, but they can do this with the valuations, and it's going to be real important to watch those going forward.
That's a whole other conversation I've had with the mayor about the Central Appraisal District, and that's going to be a topic we talk about. Let's see, he's going to be on the 20th. No, what's the 20th? It's the Monday, 17th. That's it, 17th. Okay. And so we're going to talk about it because he's been having disputes or differences of opinion, let's say that way, with the Central Appraisal District. And this idea of taking like a 3-year freeze, but here's your, property valuation. It's going to stay there for 3 years. what's going to happen when that 3-year thaw is over.
Something is going to happen.
Yeah.
To me, that's like, hey, we're not going to read your water meter for 3 months, and then we'll come by and.
Well, it's going to be all that suppressed value, so to speak, is going to spring up like a jack in a box, and you're going to go for 3 years. Your bill is going to be roughly the same, and then all of a sudden, bam, you get like this 45% increase.
Kind of kicking the can down the road.
Yeah, it is, and so he's opposed to that, and also because the city and others and school districts all base their future budgets on certain assumptions of growth, and if you're basically taking that equation out of the equation, they don't know how to budget in some cases, and they know that just because their income now is static from the central appraisal district, the cost of running a city isn't static at all. So they have their concerns.
I don't like any type of taxation. This unrealized gains, I don't like that.
What, tax on unrealized gains?
Yes.
I don't like it either, because it's like if you have stock or whatever and it goes up in value and they try to tax it, well, how am I going to pay it? I have to liquidate the stock.
Right.
You know, and so when I see people up in Washington, D.C. talk about doing that, I think, how stupid are you? I mean, you know, what are you doing? You're going to tax people on unrealized gains when you're basically going to be destroying the method by which they got those gains?
That's correct.
That just doesn't make any sense. Elizabeth Warren's really big on that, but she's an idiot.
Right.
You know, and that's all there is to it. She's stupid because, you know, if they did that on unrealized gains on like home values, which is what they wanted to do.
Basically what they do with ad valorem tax.
Yeah.
You know, my salary doesn't go up just because my house value went up.
Yeah.
It's I didn't gain anything yet because I haven't sold it.
Well, that's be a real problem for a lot of people. But you know what's interesting is a lot of these things that they're having the amendments approved and they're going to be approved, because I haven't seen nothing in terms of opposition, shall we say. No commercials, no social media posts, vote against this prop or whatever. I've heard, in fact, most people didn't even know we're having elections, early elections. Say, hey, you voted yet? And voted for what? They had
because it's not a people election.
No, right. And the only people that are going to be out there voting are people that support these things because they have a vested interest in it and that kind of thing. So they're all going to pass. They're going to be very low turnout. But it's kind of interesting. But a lot of these things are really already in law. They're just putting them in the Constitution, which in effect permanently puts them into our system.
Right,
And my only real concern about some of these things, about property taxes and whatever else, is that future legislatures are going to be hamstrung. All right, I did vote against the amendment that banned personal income tax back in 2017, I think it was. Because it's not that I wanted a personal income tax, but I knew that 20 years from now, we may not be prospering as a state like we are now, and we may need to have all available tools on the table, kind of thing.
All hands on deck.
Yeah, we might want to at least consider it. Now you'd have to amend the Constitution again to do it, which takes 2/3 of both houses, and then people's approval, which is a lot.
Good luck with that.
Good luck. I don't know if I've ever seen a Constitution amendment fail. The only one that I think that had any in the last decade that had any kind of notoriety was that income tax amendment. The rest are like, you read through that, okay, why do we need to amend the Constitution to give Texas State Technical College money? Why do we need to amend the Constitution to create a water fund? We need it. So do it. No, we got them in the Constitution. That kind of thing. You think that those, particularly the property tax related ones, there's some others that are more specific, like if you're a spouse of a deceased veteran and that veteran's demise was due to military service, your taxes are gone forever, and all these other things. Do you think that it's going to have a beneficial effect on real estate in this state?
We have a real affordability problem right now. And I read something that Freddie Mac put out a couple weeks ago that said, in order for us to get back just to where we were affordability-wise, rates need to be at about 4.4%. And I don't think we want to be in a world again where we get the 4.4% rate because of all the external things that were happening to drive down the rates to start with. It would, something else terrible would have to happen for us to ever get there again.
Well, for so long they were like well below 4.
Yeah.
And I refinanced back in 19, and I got like 4.25.
Right.
Or something, 4 and 3.
I think that's where ours is.
Like 4 and 3.75, whatever, something like that, 4 and an eighth. That's because I took some cash out. If I wanted to do strictly a refinance, I could have gotten like 3.99.
Just for a regular loan.
Yeah, and so we ain't seen that in a while. And I always wondered, it's like when I watch the gas prices drop really far, people think that's great, but it also could be indicative of something else, like recession. And so if we're having a situation where our rates are falling to the floor, then that means something else is going on, like you referred to. It isn't. The economy is so complex that if you have this significant movement in a factor like interest rates, what's causing that? I know Trump is raising Cain about Jerome Powell not cutting enough and all this other stuff, but Trump's economic understanding has a somewhat slanted view, shall we put it that way, tactfully. But again, it'd be great if I could get like 3.5% on my house, but that also means I'm not getting anything on my interest-earning accounts and stuff like that, CDs, et cetera. So there's other factors involved.
Right. There's a happy somewhere, just like $60 to $80 oil is happy time in Texas. I mean, when I graduated high school, within 2 months, it was $7, $8, $9 a barrel for a barrel of oil. Texas wasn't a very fun place in 1986 to be.
Oh, I remember that. Oh gosh, yes.
Now that was great for people in California or New York or wherever that, but here.
Well, the thing about it was in 1986, you mentioned, I was in my second year out of college working for a company called Dun & Bradstreet as an analyst. And I had certain areas of town, and they divided up our responsibilities by zip code. So in my particular zip code, I had a lot of oil companies. And I walked into, if you know Dallas, it's off Greenville Avenue. It's called the Meadows Building.
Okay.
It's on near Greenville and 75. And it's all oil businesses. And, the thing about these oil companies, you think you're dealing with Exxon. No, I was dealing with a lot of independent drillers, and they'd have like 15 different wells, each independently incorporated. So if well number 7 goes bust, it won't affect the others, right?
Right.
They just call Chapter 11 on number 7 and they're good. Well, I walked in and did my job one Monday, and the next Tuesday came in, the building was deserted because that's when the Arabs cut the oil and went down to about $8. And all these guys that had their oil wells, had used as collateral based on like $25 to $30 oil, they just pulled the plug on all of them. And I remember what it caused in Texas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Banks started calling notes. And, when it costs more to raise it up out of the ground than you can sell it for, it's going to stay in the ground.
It's right. And they had a lot of empty buildings, a lot of foreclosures. It was not fun. So I guess that's a long way to talk about these rates. People say, gosh, we need to get the rates down. Well, yeah, it'd be nice if it what would be an optimal rate? Mid-5s?
Probably so.
All right, yeah. So we could drop it a little bit more, I hope. But let's not go back to 2%, because why was it 2%? Because we were on our backs, because of COVID, right?
Something horrible. Yeah. It was a black swan. And the same, it did it at 9/11 too. It's the exact same thing.
And then you had I find it ironic in a sense you got into real estate in 2009, because in 2008 is when everything went to hell in a handbasket because of, overextended banks and such as that. And at one time I had tried to have collateralized debt obligations explained to me. And I
still don't understand.
I don't understand it. And I'm like, okay, I got the gist of it, but I'm supposed to be college educated. I had a business degree and teach economics. And okay, a CDO is what again? How does this work? I thought, what a scam. And
it was, and that's exactly what caused it to roll over.
So what made you decide to get into real estate right after that everything fell to pieces in 2008 and 2009?
I had always wanted to be in real estate anyway, and the job that I had, it was kind of like the short answer is it was a severance package for the job I was about to lose. So,
yeah. How long did it take, you think, for the economy to pick back up again?
It was 2013 is when it kind of got. And what had happened, there were so many foreclosures, and normally that would take 7 to 10 years just to clean that up, especially as one as big as that was.
Yeah.
But that Wall Street found out about single family houses and came in, and I remember in 2013 putting a little house here in town on the market, and ABC 123 LLC comes along,
Right.
and makes us a full price offer. We'll close in 2 weeks. And I thought, man, something screwy's going on here. Mm-hmm. And it closed, and they just started buying them by the hundreds.
Well, that's how my mom sold it. It was to an investor.
Yep.
And I hope this is the right fact. I think I read that about a third of home sales go to investment companies.
It's the ones that you should be afraid of, the Wall Street hedge fund ones. Mm-hmm. It's 1 or 2% nationwide. Mm-hmm. But all the rest of them are people that own 6 or less. So we call them mom and pop investors. So
Right.
The guy that owned the filling station that has 6 or 8 rent houses in Joshua or something like that.
Okay.
That's the bulk of it.
I also read, because of the World Cup coming to Dallas, that you're having a lot of these investment companies buying up homes, going to sell them or rent them as Airbnbs, and then they'll dump them on the market again.
Right.
And so that'll have an impact on everybody else's real estate, prices, So, because that's the thing about real estate values is that what happens to somebody else could affect yours as well.
That's true.
If you have, in fact, if you have a neighbor that doesn't take care of his house, it's affecting your property values.
It could.
Yeah.
And, when they're all, and that's what that was the situation we were in from 2009 to 2013 was if there's 10 comparables in the market and 9 of them are distressed, that's the market, and this one outlier out here didn't even get counted. Well, now it's the opposite.
Well, I see these ads for a guy named Mark Spain. Does that ring a bell? And he's, I'll buy your house. Well, first of all, he must have a lot of wallet to be able to advertise like he does, because I see him all over the place.
Yes.
But is he a negative or a positive impact on the real estate market?
You would think it would be a negative. And a lot, I don't want to say that it's a tactic, but it's kind of a marketing thing that he's doing. So we'll buy your house for cash, whatever. But I'll buy your house for cash right now, but you may not like that price.
Yes,
So,
we've experienced that with my mom. Yes.
Since you don't like that price, why don't you let me go ahead and list it for you on the traditional market?
Oh, so this Mark Spain fellow will offer you, lowball you, and they said, well, so if you don't want the money, then let us list you.
Right.
That's pretty shrewd.
Yep.
Why don't you do it?
I am doing it.
You
What
are doing
talking
it.
about, man.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You do that too?
I do.
So
I've got people lined up that will come in and make. I've got one company that'll get us like 4 or 5 offers, and in certain situations that works out for them.
But ultimately, it's the buyer, or rather the seller. Okay, the seller that's going to make that call, how it's done, right? And there's so many different factors involved, but kind of getting back to the Burleson area, the extreme growth in this whole area of the county has had mixed results. Okay, because our infrastructure in this town is hurting. And all members of the council agree with that, and they're not unaware of that. And that's a bulk of our conversations when they come on the show. But boy, it makes it tough to keep up with the roads and such.
These developers, and it's nothing against them. They're doing what they're supposed to do, but they put such a strain on a community so quickly that it takes so long for the cities, the cities and counties and the taxes that they collect.
Right. That development, short-term housing and things of that nature, or multi-family housing. And we got to find the water and electricity in the streets to get to them.
That's correct.
And it's not going to be easy. But whoever, has this responsibility, our current council or those that replace them one day, that's going to be the number one task, is try to incorporate that area. We did talk about that with the Joshua schools, because all those are in Joshua ISD. And I said, I congratulated the superintendent about building schools in the city of Burleson. They dumped this on us to take care of it, but they're educating Burleson residents, so it's our responsibility. So there you go. But I thought, that's shrewd. Is that when you're putting up 9 elementary schools down the street in the same street in Burleson? Well,
and keep this in mind. This is important for everybody to know. If a developer comes in and it's a significant enough size, which it is, the developer pays for those roads to be put in to city specs or county specs, depending on where it is. They pay for all those water lines to be put in. And then like in the rural areas, like Johnson County Special Utility District, this went up, I believe, to $7,500 impact fee per water tap,
Good grief.
because of what it's going to cost them down the road
Yeah.
to be able to provide water. Everything that is in that development infrastructure wise is paid for by the developer and then dedicated to whichever entity it is, county, city, this water district, whoever. So there's no burden at that time on the city, but there will be because somebody's got to maintain it in perpetuity.
Oh, sure. And so that's, it sounds like, because I've been told, well, Chisholm Summit is going to be a great addition. Okay. I'm not being negative about it at all, but it is something to consider. And I know that the developer is paying for all this, but I also know that once he's done, it's now on our tab.
That's right. Somebody's got to take care of it. And, the developer's not paying for the schools that are now flooded with all these people or, the extra ambulances and fire trucks and police officers that we need because, those are kind of things that the city.
Right. They're already talking about we need to put maybe a fire station out there, a substation, all this other stuff. There's a lot more than just throwing up houses.
Absolutely is.
And so because it's more than just putting houses up and selling them. You're talking about long-term impact that has to be considered by decision makers, and those that aren't making those decisions based on a long-term, just for short-term gain or ease or convenience, it ends up costing us more.
Absolutely.
And because street repairs are expensive.
They
and
sure are.
So there you go. Let's talk about a couple of the nonprofits, and then we're going to sum up what we're doing. Because these nonprofits. One is the Harvest House. Yesterday I was talking about the shutdown and about the food stamps being cut. And then, the clip that I showed yesterday, he said that, well, it was from the weekend that Trump would be honored, quote, to, get the food stamp money out there. And then yesterday they said, well, we're only going to be able to pay about half of what it is. And then this morning he says, we may not pay it at all. So, but we can get into the politics of it, but our friends at Harvest House, at Promises, and at the House of Hope, which Elizabeth Becker will be here next Monday, they're doing a lot of business.
I bet they are.
Well, I support mostly. I support all of them through the show, but as far as like my personal support, Promises is connected to my church, and so I help them as best I can. Whatever. But my wife dropped by some stuff yesterday, and she said it was packed. The waiting area was full. The shopping area was full. Some people were told you might want to make an appointment, come back later, and that kind of thing, because a lot of people are really hitting the food banks because of all this shutdown business. And our Senate friends voted against it again today to open the government. But anyway, back to Harvest House. They're having a brunch at Pathway Church at 10 o'clock. The QR code there, or you see in their advertisements, or you see on their webpage. You're not buying tickets. You're just reserving a seat because they want to know how many people to prepare for. But there will be an ask at the end, as most of these things are, as they should. So check out yourharvesthouse.org and see if you can fit this in your schedule, because it's a big deal. Now
I'm going.
You going? Well, they planned this brunch long before the shutdown business, so they've been planning this for 3 months. So it's just a coincidence that it's this closely timed together, but they've been planning on this since summertime, so it's a big deal. A second one, our friend Jack Madsen, they were on last week with Toys for Tots, and Jack talks a lot about that at the BNI meetings. This is close to his heart, and they brought in some of his Marine Corps buddies and from the Longhorn Regiment, as they call it, and I was part of that last year. I went to Target, bought a couple of toys. I bought them for the older kids. They go up to age 12, and everybody wants to buy cute little Fisher-Price toys or whatever. But a lot of the older kids get left out a little bit.
They sure do.
So I got some Star Wars-related toys. And I went by the stadium. They call it BISD Stadium. It's Elk Stadium, dadgummit. All right.
Says so on the chairs. Still. I think it does.
I don't know. Yeah. I haven't been to a high school game in quite some time, but it's still Elk Stadium. But anyway, I went by, dropped off the toys. Had some of the choirs were singing. They had Santa there. They had some vendors, selling food and whatnot. It was a real fun evening. So going out Christmas shopping for your nephew or your kid, throw an extra toy in there, and there's going to be boxes all over the place.
Yeah, we were going to put one in our office.
Right.
We'll have one up there. So.
Okay, and there'll be one where we meet for BNI Dole South. I know Otto having all three of his places. See, that one here in town, just right down the street. We'll have a box, and then of course the original and Gina's all have boxes. They'll be all over the place.
Yeah,
and so it's a pretty big deal. Their goal is to get 6,000 toys, and there are three organizations that help distribute them: Harvest House, House of Hope, and the Fountains Church, I believe it's called.
Okay,
It's not a church I'm familiar with. I'm sure they're fine people. Anyway, what kind of toys do you want, Josh?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I think all my toys are too expensive.
No doubt that's true. Okay, so, I figure a young man your age, what you want for Christmas is a young woman your age. Is that how it works?
I don't think that's how it works.
Okay, all right, whatever. But anyway, and then we have the Christmas ball for the Center for ASD. Let's see, I got to get this date right because I got it wrong last time. It's the 13th of December, okay, and it's help for the Toys of Tots. It's a support for the Toys of Tots drive, but it's at 6 to 11, and I'm trying to find the location. Oh, the Loft, Rustic Creek Ranch, okay, which is in Jellystone Park.
right.
Yeah, Jellystone is quite the entertaining place, isn't it?
It is.
But Jellystone will have this event on the 13th of December. It's going to be a real big deal with the Center for ASD. Boy, they do such good work over there. I mean, we're lucky to have an organization like ASD.
No doubt about
Because
it.
most communities don't have those kind of services for people on the spectrum. So it's a good thing. Well, we're about done, I suppose. So you fill us in on what we need to know the last couple of minutes.
2 whole minutes of what you need.
All right, 3 minutes. Then
Okay.
we got more. I'm just trying to keep Josh on schedule. He gets pretty tense.
I bet. As far as my little peon world, it's still a good time to conduct business real estate wise. We're still in this little lull here. As soon as the rates drop a little bit, the loan applications are going to come up, and what little bit of extra inventory that we have it'll go away in a month. So don't hang out trying to get 5.5% when you can get 6% and get some other goodies now, like getting some help from the seller and less than list price and some things that we won't have when the market turns.
What is it that Candy says over at Camco? You marry the house and date the rate?
And date the rate. That's correct.
All right, because that's what we did back in '91. When we were building the house, it was 9.5. All right, and within about 4 years, it got down to about 7, and we refinanced through Sammy Joe and Candy. Okay, at another location, another stop they were in, and we refinanced for cash 2 or 3 times because they'll pay for college, health issues, et cetera, and so if you buy the house you want, you can always refinance later.
That is really, if you think about it, it's the only thing that you have a whole lot of control over. 'Cause you can't control what you're going to buy it or sell it for, really.
Once you pay, the price ain't changing.
That's right.
So, how would people get a hold of you besides just your phone number? What's a good way to get a hold of you? Just track you down at the Wethington office? Or?
That would be cool. Or Facebook. I do a ton of business on private messenger. I've got like even clients that talk to me there instead of calling me on the phone or email or whatever.
Well, it's become convenient. I never have liked talking on the phone, and it is ironic because my first job with Dun & Bradstreet, there's a lot of phone calling.
A lot of phone work,
and so I had to learn to get over that in a hurry. But I'm not real big. I'm terrible at cold calling. I'd be terrible at that.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, but that's a bit. I don't get as many as I used to, but I used to get phone calls all the time from people say, "Hey, we want to buy your house." I said, "Oh, goody for you." Click. Anyway, because I wasn't going to sell it to some stranger,
right,
or deal with some stranger and all that. But it's so Facebook is a good way to do it, and also private messenger. I think one reason why people like private messenger is that it is private, and also there's kind of like a record of what y'all discussed. And,
Absolutely.
you know,
And you're right there scrolling through there, and there's a picture of me in a house I've got for. So hey, I've been meaning to ask him about this. And here they come on direct message.
okay.
So
Well, hopefully they say, hey, I saw you, Mr. Allard's neighborhood, and I want to buy a house from you.
I'm ready to hear that for sure.
Me too. Thank you, Josh. Let's see. I'm going to look at the schedule for next week just to make sure, because sometimes I say things and then I forget. Okay, get on the right page. There it is. All right. Next Monday, I mentioned I have Elizabeth Becker from House of Hope. She just walks over here. And then next Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock to accommodate, I have Joshua ISD. And I forget exactly who the names of the people sitting over. One of them I think is like deals with their curriculum, and another one deals with special ed.
Okay.
So that, I'll find that pretty interesting. Hopefully they will too, or the audience will find it too. All right. So you go to the schedule, Josh?
Yep.
All righty.
I got you.
That's when he gets the big money.
That's right.
And now this show will be on at 6 o'clock tonight on community radio, and then 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And so if you want to hear it as you drive home, whatever, tune in, Live 365, get the app. Yeah, I'll put the link on Facebook, whatever. Anything. I can't remember what I'm playing. I usually like 4 to 6 o'clock hours. I like to play specialized schedules. So, but I really don't know what I did today. I've been busy. So we'll see what we have. All right.
Be surprised everyone.
Well, I'll think of something. Something from the 60s maybe. I don't know.
Go.
I'm going to put a little special programs like late night for jazz and standards. I just got a hold of a lot of that. And I thought, well, it's not going to change my whole format, but a couple hours a week won't hurt. So.
You need to have a yacht rock hour.
I do. I have
do you?
3 hours of
Okay.
that. Yeah, yacht rock. Yeah, it's stuff nice, Little River Band kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
I have that. I have all these 70s and 80s. I have some Texas-based. I have women-based rock and roll. I got about 30 different schedules. I mean, you put them in a playlist, and it's and then that's after that you just schedule it, and that's it. It's
Right.
pretty easy.
That's
All right.
cool.
Yeah. All righty. We'll see y'all next week, and y'all take care.
Adios.
Mm-hmm.